Rammus is bizarre. He's a living meme in the LOL community, whose status as such went on to inform his entire character. Everything surrounding this champion, both in lore and in real life, is just really weird. But before we can dive into the absurdities, let's take a step back and start at the beginning. Rammus was released on July 10th, 2009, making him about as old as League itself. Immediately, the weirdness starts to take hold. Rammus very much embodies the area of champion design he comes from, in which Riot would just take a concept and turn that into a playable character. Except, unlike other champions who were either just generic archetypes or straight-up references, Rammus's premise was a little different. He's called the Armordillo, being an armadillo with spiky metal armor affixed to his shell. So it seems like Rammus's existence hinges on a pun more than anything. Well, I say that, but that's not entirely true, is it? Though Rammus is allegedly meant to be an armadillo, his design is often likened to something more akin to a turtle. Specifically, he resembles a Spiny from the Mario franchise. Riot themselves have even fully embraced this comparison to the Koopa species by giving Rammus an alt skin that basically just turns him into Bowser. Despite that, Rammus's lore insists that he is, in fact, an armadillo. His original bio tells us that he came from the Shurima Desert, but crossed into the Kamungu jungles for unknown reasons. There, Rammus wandered into a peculiar hedge maze, at the center of which he found a strange light. The light engulfed Rammus, and he blacked out. When Rammus awoke, something had changed. He found himself oddly more aware than before, as though he'd abruptly achieved a higher level of sapience. Needless to say, this sent the poor armadillo into something of an existential crisis, which in turn caused him to conjure an earthquake that tore down the entire maze. Whatever the light had done to him, it not only made him more intelligent, but also gave Rammus some kind of strange earthquake magic. Rammus wandered the world alone, hoping to find others like himself, but his search yielded no results. Rammus wandered far and wide, at some point crafting a set of spiky armor to affix to his shell that could offer him further protection during his travels. Unfortunately, no matter where he went, Rammus was always alone and out of place. He was the only intelligent, talking, earthquake-causing armadillo in existence. Ultimately, Rammus joined the League of Legends, as it seemed like the only place where creatures such as himself might fit in. However, if you were to play Rammus in-game, none of this would be communicated at all. Rammus's voice lines make no mention of his past, his motivations, or the existential dread of being transformed by a mysterious power he knows nothing about. That is because Rammus's English voiceover gives him basically no personality whatsoever, which is especially weird because he actually does say a little bit more in other languages. Rammus in League of Legends does not have a character. He is a weird little dude that seems to either be incapable of complex speech or simply prefers not to talk, which kind of directly contradicts his bio. I have tried to look into the reasons for this, but unfortunately there's not a lot of concrete info out there, at least not that I've been able to find. We know that his voice lines, what few they were provided by Duncan Watt, the same man who voices Blitzcrank. There are a few theories I've found about why Riot gave Duncan so few lines for Rammus. One was that there was something of a falling out between him and the company during the recording process. Though if that were the case, you'd think they'd just try to get a new VA and wouldn't be able to use the few brief lines Duncan had recorded. Another is that Riot allegedly just forgot to put all of Rammus's lines in the game, and never got around to doing so because players just liked the meme. Neither of these explanations feel super plausible to me, but unfortunately it's the best I've been able to find. If you have any more information on the matter, please, by all means, do feel free to share. Regardless of the explanation, Rammus's bizarre VO situation led to his inevitable status as a meme within the League of Legends community. Whatever sort of tragic existential backstory he may have had, his entire personality boiled down to little more than okay. If you didn't read Rammus's lore, it was basically impossible to tell what the guy's deal was. Was he an animal with very limited capacity for speech? Did he simply believe it pointless to say more than what was absolutely necessary when acknowledging Summoner's commands? Such questions would eventually become the basis for Rammus's new backstory post-retcon. When Riot updated Rammus's bio, they took his meme status and absolutely ran with it. His new canon story is actually a collection of fables about the Armordillo and his various exploits throughout Shuriman history. He steamrolled through an invading army, toppled the fortress of a wicked sorcerer, saved a prince from a fire, and killed a giant ant infestation that threatened an entire farming community. The bio, however, makes it very clear that no one knows why Rammus has done these things. Some speculate that he's a sort of guardian deity to Shurima, who appears to save its people in times of need, while others say that he's simply a wild beast acting on instinct to stave off perceived threats and defend his territory. No one even really knows what Rammus is. Ascended, Bakai, spirit, monster. The only thing anyone knows for sure is that he's old enough to be depicted in ancient murals and statues. Even then, it's hard to be certain if that's actually the Rammus we know, or if it's just part of his species. Rammus may actually be an enlightened protector looking out for the desert's people, but it's just as likely he's little more than an animal whose actions and intentions have been misinterpreted by those he helps on pure accident. People have built an entire religion and even a holiday around Rammus, but whether or not anyone actually even understands him is a question that will most likely never be answered. That's the joke. Rammus is a joke, and offering any clarity to the mystery would ruin said joke. While most of the community has fully embraced this portrayal of Rammus, there are some detractors. After all, Rammus started out as a surprisingly complex character with a deep backstory, but his character was transformed by his status as a meme. It is somewhat understandable why some might view this as a wasted opportunity. That said, I personally think the new direction works a lot better for Rammus's character. After all, his original lore was already built around a mystery that was likely never to be solved anyway, so making Rammus's very existence the center of the mystery works pretty well, I think. Besides, let's just be honest, Rammus's design does not really lend itself to the concept of a deep, complex character. At least, I think. Again, he's basically a Koopa with an eternally stoic, blank expression. Such a simple appearance never really lent itself to the deep existential dread of his portrayal in the original bio. Maybe you can argue that there is some intentional irony there, but I'm not so sure. Ultimately, it's a matter of taste, I suppose. Regardless, Rammus's status as a meme seems undeniable at this point, so why not lean into it? There are plenty of other characters in the game perhaps better suited to exploring the deeper themes and questions that his original bio tried to represent. For my money, I think that fully embracing Rammus's goofier aspects is perfectly okay. But what do you all think? Do you like Rammus as a meme, or do you wish that his character had a little more depth to it? Leave your thoughts and comments down below, and until next time, stay bright.